Hey everyone, and welcome to the PE podcast. I'm your host, Max, and today we're diving into a topic that's transforming the gym and the classroom. How technology is changing physical education for students in grades 3 through 8. We all know that technology is everywhere in education, from smartboards to tablets, but in PE, it's really starting to redefine how students move, learn, and stay motivated. Think fitness trackers, interactive games, heart rate monitors, and even video analysis. These tools are helping teachers create lessons that are more engaging, inclusive, and personalized than ever before. But of course, with all that innovation comes a few challenges too. Things like cost, screen time, and making sure technology actually supports movement instead of replacing it. To break it all down, I'm joined by an amazing team, Moise, Kara, Chris, and Jimmy. Together, we'll talk about what's working, what's not, and where technology might take PE in the future.
Hi everyone, I'm Moise and I'm for technology and PE.
Hi everyone, I'm Kara and I'm for technology and PE.
Hello, I'm Jimmy and I'm against technology and PE. Hello everyone, I'm Chris and I'm against technology and PE.
All right, it's a pleasure to have everyone here. Now, if I could ask my pro side, how have you personally seen technology make a difference in a PE setting?
Personally, I have had a positive experience with technology used in PE. In one of my observation classes, a smartboard was used for an instant activity and warm-up where students watched a YouTube video and followed the movements that were demonstrated. This engages students because it incorporates their interest into the lesson.
All right, thank you for that answer. Now, moving on to the con side. From your past experiences, how have you had a negative experience with technology in a PE setting?
In my past experience, I've seen a lot of equipment broken, rather that be a smartboard, iPad dropped, or a Chromebook and hit with like a piece of equipment. Another thing is overall distractions. Students aren't always going to be doing what you want them to be doing on a Chromebook or an iPad, as well as Wi-Fi issues, just having trouble connecting to the Wi-Fi, slowing down teaching.
All right, moving on to the next question for my pro side. What types of technology do you think are the most effective for grades 3 through 8?
According to Gopher Sport, specifically Mike Graham, a physical education teacher from Illinois, states that for middle school, heart rate monitors and fitness trackers, like pedometers, can be used to show how much effort the student is exhibiting. Instead of assuming that a student is trying, a teacher can see and track the data on their heart rate or steps that are taken. This proves effort and participation. For 3rd through 8th graders, so for all students, apps like Coach's Eye let students film a movement like a throw or a kick, and they can watch it in slow motion. This is a fantastic way for improving skills because students can self-assess themselves based on their skill levels. Teachers can also use tablets and apps to collect data and to grade assignments. Teachers spend less time doing paperwork and more time teaching.
The most effective types of technology for students in grades 3 through 8 are those that make learning interactive, personalized, and engaging. Tools like Khan Academy and Nearpod allow students to learn at their own pace while giving teachers instant feedback to support individual progress. Chromebooks and tablets are also highly effective because they give students access to digital books, research tools, and creative apps, and strengthen reading, writing, and communication skills. Interactive lessons, educational games, and multimedia tools turn learning into something students actually enjoy. When lessons come alive through technology, students become active participants, not just passive listeners, and engagement matters. Research from EdTech magazine 2022 found that 83% of teachers said that technology helps increase student motivation and participation in class. Plus, when kids enjoy learning, they're more likely to take ownership of their education, and that's a lifelong skill.
Now, my question for the con side. Do you view any technology as effective in PE, if there is any?
Okay, I believe that the most effective piece of technology is a smartboard because only a teacher has access to it. And students are not allowed to have phones, iPads, and Chromebooks inside the gymnasium. With the risk of it being damaged and to prevent any student issues with the result of the inappropriate use of technology.
Yeah, I agree with Chris there. There's a lot of good technology that you could really put into a physical education setting. I also think speakers, heart rate monitors, and step pedometers are both really good options. I just think if something gets a little too intense for students to really pick up and learn, it could take away time from teaching. I was recently reading this article from Phys Ed and Health, and it said approximately 61.5% of PE teachers agree that if we implement too advanced technology, that it's going to take away from time. Rather, it'd be them learning how to use it and learning how to teach it, or students just picking it up and learning themselves.
Now, my next question is going to be for the pro side. How can tech tools like heart rate monitors or activity trackers motivate students?
This is a great question, and the most immediate benefit is that these tools make effort visible and measurable. Students can see their heart rate or activity intensity displayed instantly, often on the actual device, and they receive immediate feedback on whether they are truly working hard enough, which is hitting their target heart rate zone, or the need to step up the intensity. For students who might not be the best athletes, but who are giving maximum effort, the data proves their commitment to working hard. Their high heart rate validates their hard work, which is very motivating and leads to fair grading based on effort, not just ability. Students can also learn the direct link between their activity and their physiology. Seeing their heart rate climb during a difficult exercise and drop during recovery teaches them how their body works and the signs of fitness.
Going off what Kara says, activity trackers allow students to set daily or weekly goals, like reaching a certain step count or active minutes. Reaching those goals gives a sense of accomplishment and keeps them motivated to stay active. Students can track improvement over time, such as lower rest heart rate, more steps, or longer periods of movement, which helps them see their growth and stay engaged. Many fitness trackers allow for friendly challenges or group goals. When students see their classmates working hard, it builds healthy competition and teamwork. Using these tools helps students take ownership of their health and learn how to make informed choices about physical activity, rest, and effort. The technology aspect itself, checking graphs, tracking streaks, or earning badges, makes fitness more interactive and fun, especially for students who may not be naturally competitive or athletic.
Going off what Moise has said, every student starts at a different fitness level. These tools allow them to set SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals based on their own baseline data. For instance, a student might set a goal to increase their average daily steps by 1,000 or spend 5 more minutes in their target heart rate zone each week.
I like what you said about how heart rate monitors encourage personal goals, but I'm wondering about the flip side. Could these same tools actually make some students more self-conscious or anxious about how they're doing?
Students may be impressed and amazed of how that we have technology to track our heart rate and count our steps. At the same time, I think it can be a little inappropriate and can make students feel misunderstood about their own personal health. It can also become a bragging match of who is healthier and can make some students feel insecure about their physical health.
Yeah, building off of what Chris said, I think, again, I don't see these really as too bad of a piece of technology to use in physical education. However, it can come at a risk. Heart rate monitors do need to be charged. Same thing with activity trackers. So if they're not charged or they die mid-class, that's going to be something that, students are going to have to share one, or which is going to reduce time on task. Another thing is I've personally witnessed performance anxiety of students not wanting to participate in the activity due to, being afraid of what their resting heart rate is or what their, activity heart rate is going to be, when they compare themselves to other people.
All right, thank you. Now, back to the pro side. What are some creative ways teachers can assess students' progress using technology?
From the article Leveraging Technology for Grading and Assessment in Physical Education by Mike Graham, He states that teachers use tablets and apps like Google Forms or dedicated assessment platforms to record observations and grades in real time. Instead of carrying a paper clipboard, they can input sources directly into a digital rubric and instantly sync the data, making grading more efficient and immediate. Also, technology allows teachers to integrate cognitive learning into PE. Tools can be used to quiz students quickly on topics like health concepts, rules of the game, or fitness principles, which integrates affective and cognitive domains into the assessment process. Teachers can also use video analysis apps like Coach's Eye to film students performing a complex skill, such as a tennis serve or a dance sequence. They can then pair the video with a digital rubric that outlines specific performance criteria. Students can annotate the video by drawing lines, angles, or slowing it down to see exactly which criteria they met and which they missed, leading to self-assessment. Students can record and save multiple attempts at a skill over time. This video portfolio documents their progress toward mastery, allowing them to visually compare their first attempt to their final one.
In addition to what Kira says, programs like Khan Academy or Google Classroom, these platforms track progress and gives teachers instant feedback on how students are doing. According to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation 2013, students in classroom using personalized technology-based instruction made learning gains equivalent to 1.5 years of progress in a single school year. That kind of flexibility just isn't possible with paper worksheets alone. Also, when learning becomes more personalized, students feel successful and that confidence leads to better engagement and stronger performance over time.
Great points on how tech can help with grading and feedback. Let's hear from the con side. Do you think all this focus on numbers and screens can make PE feel less personal or authentic?
Don't get me wrong. I think, being able to use different sorts of resources to assess students is a good thing. However, I know from personal experience and observed experiences, walking around with an iPad, really focusing on the assessment could give kids, students test anxiety, having them stress out about not being able to perform the things correctly, as well as introducing technology. A lot of the older teachers aren't going to want to, use their iPads or use, technology to assess because they don't really understand how to use it. According to this article I was reading by Phys Ed and Health, over half of the teachers, interviewed reported not knowing how to integrate technology into physical education practices, which comes an issue. Another thing, obviously, would be losing data. People lose papers all the time, and that's also a thing. But if you do lose a document which holds your pre and your post results, it can end up being a real big mess for you and your grades.
To add on what Jimmy said, I think numbers and screens are a great way to assess progress in PE. The reason being that teachers are able to access technology faster and able to grade quicker. At the same time, students are able to access their grades quicker as well, mainly for their grade, for feedback. It makes the student worry more about a grade than enjoying their experience and having a great time in PE. This could also make PE more analytical than practical. And also, it can prevent the student from worrying about too much about a grade.
Thank you. And I'm going to stay with the con side for this next question. What are the biggest challenges teachers can face when trying to integrate technology into PE?
That's a great question. A lot of the struggles when trying to implement technology into PE, it comes down to, the time of old generation teachers versus new generation teachers. A lot of the old generation teachers are going to want to keep it more play-centered or more practice-centered, where students are just practicing and keeping away from the screens, as the new generation teachers may want to implement it more just to kind of build on what they already have. Another thing is screen time. As a teacher, you're going to have a lot of screen time, whether it's looking at your laptops, putting in grades, or setting an example or setting a standards to your students of, their physical education teacher is looking at a screen all day. So maybe it would make them think that physical education isn't something that, that needs their whole attention and they could just get away with while looking at a screen. Another struggle is going to be cost. I know it can be a struggle to get the money needed to get, a brand new set of iPads for your class or a brand new smart board, even down to, iPads. Certain teachers struggle to just get regular equipment yearly. So I think it might be an unrealistic standard or an unrealistic expectation to try and get, new equipment, new technology to use in a classroom.
To add on what Jimmy said, most teachers are rather old school and like to use pen and paper to grade their students. Some teachers are not really experienced in using technology, including myself. I struggle sometimes when I use my MacBook. A lot of technology issues can cause frustration for teachers. And it can also be very frustrating. It can also be very time-consuming for students and can waste money and time.
All right, thank you. Now, for the pro side, is there any way we can overcome these challenges?
I get where the con side is coming from, but to overcome the challenges of integrating technology into physical education, teachers can start by using free fitness apps or shared device. If equipment is limited, and gradually expand as resources grow, schools can offer professional development to help teachers learn how to use tools like heart rate monitors, fitness trackers, and digital platforms with confidence. Setting clear rules and learning goals helps keep students focused and prevent distractions. To handle technical problems, teachers can prepare backup activities that don't rely on devices, ensuring the class lesson continues smoothly by planning ahead. Staying flexible and building their own tech skills, teachers can successfully make technology a natural and effective part of PE.
Teachers can actively seek out small grants specifically for PE technology or partner with school technology departments to leverage existing school resources, for example, tablets, projectors, or shared networks. Instead of trying to use every feature, teachers should identify 1 to 2 critical data points, for example, time and target heart rate zone, or successful completion of 2 key rubric criteria that directly inform the grade and guide student feedback. Teachers can also involve students in the data management process by having them track, analyze, and report their own data, turning assessment into a valuable learning experience for all.
All right, thank you. Now, sticking with your side, how can technology make PE more inclusive for students of all abilities and backgrounds?
Technology can also help teachers modify activities and measure effort fairly for students with physical disabilities or different fitness levels. Heart rate monitors and activity trackers allow teachers to assess students based on their personal effort. This could be time spent in a target heart zone, rather than focusing solely on skill, performance, or speed. This makes grading fair for students who may have physical limitations but are working just as hard as their peers. Virtual reality tools can potentially allow students with limited mobility to simulate performing complex movements or sports, helping them understand the mechanics and strategy involved even if they cannot physically execute the skill. Students can also use video analysis apps to study the form and technique of movements specifically adapted for their needs. They can also record themselves and receive feedback from the teacher or peer, tailoring instruction to their unique requirements. From personal experience, I also know teachers who have used social media like TikTok or Instagram to find more ideas to creating more inclusive activities for students.
Those sound like great tools for inclusion, but I'm curious, what happens when not every student or every school has the same access to those tools? Does that create a new kind of inequality?
When not every student in school district have access to technology or is able to provide funding for it, and it creates an inequality to access. For example, I went to a school in a rural part of Orange County where there are a lot of farms surrounding my school. The state provided no funding to Menacing Valley School District. Meanwhile, you got a school 10 minutes down the road in Middletown, a city school that receives a boatload of funding, and they receive the best technology, and they have a boatload of funding for technology, and this creates an unfair distribution of funding from the state.
I agree with Chris here, as when districts all have different equipment, they have different, student counts. So it's going to be kind of create a loss of opportunity for these students when they're not able to, learn the same as, their peers in the same grade level, as well as, when it comes to inclusivity, it's important to remember student backgrounds. So if we are integrating technology into physical education, it's important that we realize that they can utilize the resource outside of the classroom, which is something that not all students have the capability to do, which can kind of create that inequality from, not understanding PE outside of the classroom.
Thank you. We've covered a lot of great ideas today, from how technology motivates students to how it can also present challenges. So to wrap things up, let's look ahead a little. What do you think the future of technology in physical education will look like in the next 5 to 10 years? Do you see it continuing to grow and evolve, or will we find ourselves going back to more traditional methods?
The future of technology in physical education over the next 5 to 10 years points towards a deeply immersive and data-driven learning experience. The tools that are currently being adopted, like wearables and video analysis, will become more integrated and sophisticated, which will be driven largely by advancements in artificial intelligence and immersive reality.
I feel like there's a constant struggle whether to be for technology or not to be using it at all. But I feel like that technology will prevail with the progression of modern times.
Yeah, I agree. However I feel about it, I think, with proper education and, learning courses, teachers can learn how to implement technology moving forward. If it continues to grow in the way that it is, which I don't see it going anywhere, I just think with the proper learning and lessons, I think we'll be able to implement it, and I think it's going to grow, and I think it's going to be a vital part in PE. Rather that be assessment or learning, I think it's just going to be something that, we're going to have to face. And I don't think it's that bad of an idea. I just think right now, without the proper, teaching, teachers are struggling to, find ways to use it in the right way.
All right, that's a great note to end on. The future of PE really depends on us using technology as a bridge, not a barrier. Thanks for tuning in to the PE podcast. Until next time, keep learning, keep leading, and keep moving.